Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another edition of Hilaal Live. I'm your host, Luqman Shadrack. Thanks for watching us on Channel 347 on DSTV. Now, over the last couple of weeks, I've interviewed so many industry specialists around the marketing of your business, but more importantly, to gain you a lot more income. And one of those parts of marketing is networking with influencers. Now, we've seen influencers pop up on our social media feeds, and we always wonder, what do they do? How do they do it? And how do they earn an income? So I've decided to invite a influencer marketing specialist to tell us a bit more about this amazing industry. On the line, joining us via Zoom, is Sister Nadia Joubert. Sister Nadia, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Thank you for having me.
My absolute pleasure. Jazakallah for affording us your time. Now, you network in this category, in this space, and a large amount of people tend to want to network with various influencers, but often there are a lot of misconceptions around how to network with influencers and what works best for businesses. Maybe tell us a bit about some of the pitfalls and how our business community can avoid some of sometimes making a mistake when taking on an influencer.
Not a problem. So one of the biggest misconceptions that businesses have is that they have to get huge celebrity-like influencers to promote their products, and they often overspend because these influencers aren't coming at a very healthy price, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
So what they expect is large follower numbers, and they actually look at the amount of followers that these influencers have, and they are not looking at the authenticity that the influencers bring. So for instance, if you have like a small bakery, they might benefit more from a local food blogger in the area than what they would to do a trade exchange or a paid collaboration with a bigger influencer or a celebrity-like influencer. So I would definitely say it's not about the size of the following. There's so much more to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you've touched on a very important point now as well. You need to know your market. You need to know what you're allowed to or can spend, because you don't want to break the bank with regards to taking on an influencer. But I know that it's divided into various categories of how influencers are regarded. For example, there's something called nano, micro, or macro influencers, and that's what you alluded to with regards to taking on a big celeb. Maybe unpack that for us a little bit.
Okay, so when you are looking at influencers, there's around 4 to 5 tiers of influencers. Your first tier is a nano influencer. They have between 1,000 and 10,000 followers. These are more authentic kind of influencers. Those are the people who know them, follow them, people in the community follow them. And if you are looking to drive brand awareness, if you're looking to build brand credibility, if you are looking to get your brand out there being recognized, these are the kind of influence that you want to have promoting your product. As you go up the tiers, then you get the micro influencers, which is the 10 to 100,000 followers. They also bring across brand awareness, but they are more in terms of brand profitability, because over here you're getting they are getting sort of a fame status, and more people are following them. So here you're leaning more into sales. But I always tell people, if you're going to start off within your budget and start off with the small macro influencers, because authenticity often leads to sales, not immediate sales, but you're busy building a brand. And how often do you see something on TV or hear something on the radio and you ponder about it? You don't immediately pick up the phone and say, I absolutely have to have it. You take a little bit of time, you work through your thought process, then you hear it again, this person, that person, and eventually you end up purchasing it. As to where you are going with your bigger influencers, like I said just now, are macro influencers. With the smaller ones, the micro influencers are the bigger influencers from 10 to 100K. But if you're going to look at driving sales, but this is going to cost you a pretty penny, you're going to look at your macro influencers. Sorry, I got a bit confused there. So they are 100,000 plus followers. These are when you are looking more at your celebrity-like influencers. And most of these influencers will not work for things like trade exchanges or a post in return for X of whatever, they will want to get paid. And this can take quite a bit of your pocket. So I would say if you're a well-established business, go look in that direction. But for the smaller businesses, start off with your nano influencers. They have good following. They are authentic. People like them. People listen to them. People engage with them. Engagement rates are really important. I'll get to that in a sec. But this is currently what you have to look at when you are looking to get an influencer within your business to promote a product for you.
Great advice. We're chatting to Sister Nadia Joubert, who is an influencer marketing specialist. I didn't know someone exists like this, but now I do. And there's a need, and definitely, networking between the influencer and the business as well. Nadia, with regards to, where does the conversation start between the influencer and the business? For example, let's take the business point of view. If I want to increase my business, what are the questions I should be asking the influencer to ensure that I get the best result?
At the end of the day, you need to build a relationship with your influencer first. It's easy to say, okay, I want A, B, and C, and you select them, but they're not going to give you anything other than work. It's the equivalent of showing up to do a job for a business that you don't really identify with, as opposed to working in that business for 5 to 6 years and you understand how it works. So I would definitely say when you want to start working with influencers, go and look at what your niche is, your specific target market. There may be many things within your business. There might be one thing within your business, and go and look at influencers that are within that niche. If you are looking at somebody who constantly, for instance, blogs about where they find good spots for halal food, and you are a restaurant, that's the person that you want to look at. So it's very important to find somebody that has that kind of lifestyle to your business, that will basically, what's the right word to use for it?
Promote your business maybe in the best light.
No, promote it, but also complement it. If I, for instance, if I clean tappies, I'm going to look for people that are always out and about, people who are athletic, people who are always on trails and things where, those kind of people really need my services. So if I find somebody like that and I tell them, please come and be an influencer for me, I will pay you X and Y, and this is what we want, and they agree to it, it's going to do better than what you find some famous person and say, hey, can you promote my product? Because it will be less credible, it will be less authentic, and yes, you might drive a few sales, but in the long run, it's going to cost you more.
So what's the average time frame that a business and an influencer should look at when promoting someone's business?
It's definitely going to depend on the kind of business. It's going to depend on the product. There is no one fit for all businesses. I have worked with influencers that are on a monthly basis. They become seasonal ambassadors. I've worked with influencers that have been once off. I've worked with influencers that has had relationship with companies for close to a year. Well, I've been in the business for about 2 years now. So I've literally from the beginning had an influencer that I've worked with for one of my clients, and she's still with us. And then I've had other influencers who's just done one-off jobs. It's also going to depend, because at the end of the day, you want to have a relationship with them, but you also want to benefit from them, because nobody takes an influencer and say, let me spend money on them and let them promote my products, and you get nothing of it. So if you find an influencer is not working for you, the type of content that they're shooting is not aligning with your style, you can have a conversation with them, and if things don't work out, at the end of the day, you need to find what works for you, what works for your business. And just as the influencer can say, I feel that this and this and this is not working for me. So it's all about having the conversations with the person that you are working with, or if you're having campaigns, this is a new thing that is like very popular lately, especially in the last year or so, where companies have campaigns and they take on like 20, 30 influencers for a quick campaign. The important thing is that you outlay exactly what you expect of them beforehand, so that they know what they're getting into. And same with them, they can't come afterwards and say, oh, but I expected it to be so and so and so. Those heart-to-heart conversations almost, but in a business tone, I feel is very, very important, especially if you are working directly with influencers.
Yeah, I think that initial meeting or meetings is where the necessary questions get outlined in terms of what the responsibility is from the business and the influencer, what the expectation is, and what the time frame should be. Because let's face it, if a business puts a budget of, say, 2,000 Rand a month, and that's what they're willing to do for 4 or 5 months, and would like a desired result, and maybe associate their sales along with the marketing strategy as well. If it's not meeting, then in 4 or 5 months, reevaluate the conversation and say, okay, right, guys, it's working, it's not working, where do we go from here? So we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to delve into a little more about influencer marketing. So if you've wanted to know more, whether this works for your business, whether it doesn't work, maybe you are an influencer and you would like to get in, into the business as well, join us after the break as we continue a conversation with Nadia, who is an influencer marketing specialist, right here on Hilaal Live. Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to Hilaal Live. Thanks for watching us on channel 347 on DSTV. Today's topic on Hilaal Live is influencer marketing, and we've got an influencer marketing specialist on the line joining us via Zoom, who's chatting to us and giving us valuable insight into the industry now called influencer marketing. On the line via Zoom, Nadia Joubert, thanks so much for joining us once again. Really appreciate your time, but also your valuable insight. Nadia, before the break, we chatted about the various types of influencers you get and how businesses can network as well. But can we maybe go into the discussion around how businesses can allocate a strategy or a marketing budget, and maybe draw some examples from your current clients of how those examples have worked for them?
Not a problem. It's, again, we have to look at our budget, what is available, what we can spend and what we can't spend. I feel it's very important that you don't overexert yourself financially when you are looking for influencers. Remember, if you are finding the authentic influencers, I would rather a client who has a smaller budget allocate 5 authentic smaller influencers than one huge influencer. And I'm not saying if you have a big following that you are not a good enough follower. I'm talking about small businesses who really cannot afford to just have one influencer on board. We do like a small budget, say for instance you have X amount to spend, and I say, okay, you know what, let's start off with influencers that we can afford, as opposed to going for the big shots one time. As you grow, you can always increase the amount of influencers you use. You could always increase the quality of influencers you use, as well as their followings. And we go with what the budget basically allows.
Of course, yeah.
So some budget friendly networking tips would be to start off with gift collaborations. So you obviously remember building that long-term relationship with your influencer first. Do not send any content creator or influencer just a parcel and say, look, yeah, I've sent you something, and expect them to do something for you with regards to that. Always reach out to them first. You do not know how busy they are, especially this time of the year. Our content creators and influencers, they get a lot of parcels from a lot of companies, and it's not always within their niche. It's not always, for instance, if somebody had to send you a bottle of alcohol and say, like, please do this for me, I wouldn't do it. So the thing is, there's a lot of other limits that other creators have that they wouldn't do. So it's best to first reach out to them, send them a gift, and ask them, if I send you something, would you mind opening it, do an unboxing? If the product works for you, would you mind to do like a little bit of a review, for instance? Another thing to do would be to invite them to your events. If you have an open day, say, you know what, I would like you to come and attend, have a little goodie bag for them so that they have something to take home. Most of the time, most creators who are invited to an event will take a photo of their goodie bag. They will tag you. They will tag you if there's something inside that they like. They might even make a post about it. So these are ways that are inexpensive, that you can get your stuff out there without breaking the bank if you really on a very, very tight budget. And the other thing as well is to engage with your influencers' content. So they are not going to just have you as their only client. So go to their pages, see what they're posting about, comment, so that they also can see that you have a slight interest in what they are doing. Most of the times they are more open to your budget if they have like already that little bit of a relationship with you. I cannot stress enough how important it is to have relationships between yourself and your influencers. This is not just a business deal. They have to be kind of treated like an employee, and if you are keen, a long-term employee, because that's what's going to assist you in the long run. And as you grow and your budget grow and you can offer them more, you know, they will offer you more. I've worked as a sideline as an influencer as well, and I have beautiful relationships with my clients. I send them messages, I send them year-end gifts, I send them all those things, and some of them send to us as well. So that relationship part is very important. And if you find yourself dealing with influencers and you have all these campaigns going and so forth, check in with them. Don't just give them a brief and say, like, this is what I expect of you. The important part, what we do, especially when we're working between our clients and our influencers, is we make sure that both parties are happy. So I am not a client. I work with influencers on behalf of my clients. Okay. And what I usually do is I check in on both sides. So maybe it depends on how fast or how slow the campaign runs. We check in with them perhaps on a weekly basis, say, hey guys, this is what we're planning for the week. Are you guys still on board? Do you need anything? Do you need any assistance from the company side? We ask them, like, are you still happy with the influencers? Are there anything you want us to, you know, portray through to them? Is there anything that we need to discuss? And then obviously just being on the ball. So if you do not want to deal with that headache directly, you know, you deal through a company that will do this for you. And Absolutely. This is like one of the basically that I do.
Great advice. Is this the future of marketing though? I mean, is this where we're heading? Is this seems to be what works for most companies? Where is, you know, influencer marketing landscape heading?
It's absolutely the future of marketing. Just keep in mind, marketing is always evolving. 20 years ago, we had people studying marketing, and if you had to tell those people today to run a Facebook campaign, they wouldn't know what it is, because back in the day, this wasn't a thing. So marketing as a whole is evolving, constantly evolving. You know, there's never one year that I have found that I've done exactly the same as the previous year. And I found that influencers are being used more and more because it's easy to get a Google review. It's easy to go and put an ad out there and say, we were voted X, Y, and Z. Even on your website, you can have people that are supposedly purchasing, people that have given you all these great reviews. But nothing is as authentic as an influencer picking up your product and said, I have tried this and I love it. I think that if you look at what influencer marketing can do, especially for small businesses in the future, I cannot see why everybody doesn't want to run and grab a content creator that aligns with their business and say, you know what, let's work some magic together.
Yeah. So tools of the trade, for example, like AI and AR, is that also starting to, you know, make inroads into this industry?
Definitely. I've seen specific companies asking for a specific tone to be used in some of their stuff. So a lot of content creators go into UCG, which is user-generated content. This is basically when a brand reaches out to you and say, can you create content for me? I will send you X, Y, and Z product, and I will pay you to shoot photos with it, to shoot videos with it, but you do not need to put it out on your socials. Okay. And they still pay you, they send you the products and everything. So a lot of influencers use that as a secondary income and things like that. So when you're doing UCG content, you are not doing it in your personal capacity as an influencer. You are outsourced by the company, and you are basically giving them what they want, like a photographer taking photos on a wedding day, for instance. Gotcha. So what you're going to do is have to speak in the tone of that company. And it's not always easy for a person who does video shooting and telling stories and having their own authentic voice to, especially if it's a serious company, take on this tone. So then you write your content, you run it through AI, you say, this is the company's tone, and like, especially if there's any text or anything that has to go with posts and things like that, AI makes its way into assisting you in getting that out for basically in the tone of what the company needs. So I would definitely say AI is very useful. I personally use it. I've found people say, oh, how can you use AI like you're cheating? No, I'm not writing a test.
Gotcha.
This is the future of what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, finally, last tips that our business owners can use before we round up, and just to maybe put it into perspective and how they could better infiltrate this industry.
Absolutely. I cannot stress enough having a relationship with your influencer and making sure that you have influencers that focus on engagement rather than followers and likes and so forth. Look at the influencers that are having conversations with the people in their stories, in their posts and so forth. That's for me the biggest thing. If you can see they're having conversations with the people, that's the people's person that you are looking for. And then basically just partnering with influencers that genuinely align with your brand values. You want them to have creative freedom, you want to build trust, and you want to have a good relationship with them. I think those few tips would most probably be the most important things when you are doing
Brilliant. Influencer marketing specialist Nadia Joubert, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on board and educating us into this very amazing and interesting industry. We wish you all the best, and we look forward to linking up with you in the near future. Have a great evening. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And there we go. That's the industry of influencer marketing. I hope that inspired you, but also educated you around this interesting industry. That's all that we have for you from the Cape Town team, from Sohail Barnes, Mohammed Parker, and myself, Luqman Shadrack. Have a great evening. Assalamu alaikum.